After receiving his master's degree in physics from the University of Oregon for the next 25 years, Hamid worked at various networking companies. His business strategies in building strong operations teams and establishing partnerships with key suppliers, both national and international, resulted in tremendous savings. As his way of giving back to the community, in 2001, Hamid founded C6 Connect, a nonprofit networking organization to assist those in career transition. Currently, C6 Connect has over 7,000 members and has been ranked as top great nonprofits of Silicon Valley.
Thank you very much for such a warm introduction. Great to see so many familiar faces. It's an interesting. I did not expect to see so many faces that I already know or have been a speaker at our organizations. So basically, C6 Connect, some of you have already heard about it. It's something that I started back in 2001. And the idea was that why would I want to do this? It was the fact that one day I was at home sitting on a Tuesday in the middle of the week, having lunch by myself. I had lost my job and it was very depressing. So I decided to have lunch with someone, anyone. So I walked in the street, grabbed someone who was walking the street literally. I asked him if he would like to have lunch with me. I would buy his lunch. And he was hesitant. But anyhow, he agreed and we had lunch. And then I told him I was looking for a job. And he said, oh, I'm looking for a job. And based on that, I asked him to come back next week and bring a friend. And I'll bring a friend, and that would be 4 of us helping each other to find jobs. And just the word got out. And of course, then it became a very popular place, even with no marketing. And people start coming every week looking for this networking organization. And so I realized there were too many talented people back in 2001. I guess most of you are too young to know what happened back in 2001. We had a dot-com crash. So many of us who were in the high-tech industry, many of us who had invested in stocks, our stock was going down. Many people left their job or was laid off. So there were many talented people in the streets, but very depressed and upset that they didn't have a job. The idea was that to get these people together in a group, and hopefully we'll start our own organization, our own company. But unfortunately, that didn't happen because so many people started coming that I couldn't start my own company at the time. People kept coming more and more. So in 2001, we started this. The idea was to improve job search through just helping each other. The idea was that the power of people helping each other is more powerful than anything else. Back in 2001, we didn't have all these Instagrams and Telegrams and Facebook and all these things that we do have now. So I thought that instead of trying to look in the newspaper for some ad that if I can find a job somewhere, let's just help people who know somebody somewhere else to connect us with the right person. Connect,
Yes.
founded in 2001. Perfect. All right. So this is how C6 came about, and then we have since then, of course, many people heard about it. It was all word of mouth. We have received numerous media coverage. National TV of Japan did a 1-hour documentary about what's going on in Silicon Valley and what C6 is all about. The Chinese broadcasting media made a documentary about us. And then, of course, we have been in so many local news and TVs and radio shows. Of course, since last year, everybody, just like Golden Gate Breakfast Club, we are also virtual and we are now worldwide. We have people from Middle East, Dubai, Europe, Canada, they all log in into our meeting every Thursday. It's all entirely volunteer run organization, nonprofit, no money is in exchange, nobody makes any money, nobody gives any money, so it's great. So with that, let's see if I can advance my. So do you see it's been advanced now? We have received some awards. So we received Jefferson Awards a couple of years ago and greatnonprofits.org, which many of you are probably familiar with. It's a nonprofit organization that ranks nonprofits, just like Yelp does for restaurants. They rank nonprofits, and we have been top rated several years by those. And also we have received a certificate of recognition from the state of California for founders and chairman for myself. Just for those of you who have engineering background or like numbers, we've been around over 19 years. we have over 7,000 members, as you heard that. I mean, we had at some point up to 15 different special interest groups like IT, semiconductor, marketing, sales, HR, you name it. And they were all meeting different parts of the week, different locations. And we've had average of 5 meetings per week, over 3,000 meetings so far, about 500 speakers, and over 80 events with local companies. We invite local companies to come to our organization and do presentation or do hiring on the spots. So those are some things with numbers. When we did not have the virtual, when we had actually in-person meetings, our weekly meetings was from 10 to 1. You can see a photo of what the meeting looks like. We sit in a room, it's all round table. That's intentional. We do not believe in classroom theater format when you watch a presentation and you go. As we heard from Craig and other people earlier this morning, the fun part of this networking is before the presentation and after the presentation. So after the presentation, we will have a lunch, like a family-style lunch. And so people will have a reason to stay and network. All right. We also, as I mentioned, we had face-to-face meeting with the hiring companies. In the background, you see some people from Hitachi, Facebook, Yahoo. Those are all recruiters from different companies who would come to our meeting, what we call the reverse recruiting. They will come to our meeting, sit on the table, on the podium, and provide some feedback, some guidance to our people, and then start interviewing people. So we had very success with that because they would come spend a couple of hours with us, and they will end up hiring 3-4 people from our group on the spot. So they could go back to their boss and say, listen, it was a very fruitful 2 hours of me not being in the office because I was able to fill some positions. And of course, our people liked it too. Of course, they would not pay anything. Our people would not pay anything. So it was a free way for them to get some positions filled. As I mentioned, we have special interest groups, finance, accounting, sustainability, clean energy. We heard about this whole thing about environmental climate change. So there's a very strong group of our organization that they work with the climate change and manufacturing and IT, semiconductor. And we also have fun working group, fun networking group. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So the way the meeting goes, the way we run the meeting, when we do have in-person meeting, it's we introduce our new members, just like you did today. We share some job lists. The idea is for people who are looking for a job, they come across jobs that may not necessarily be good for them, but it could be good for other people. If I'm a mechanical engineer, I come across software engineer or marketing, I can share that with other people. They bring the same type of things to the group. So everybody brings some job lists to the group, and all of a sudden, if you have 50 people and everybody brings 3 job lists, so you walk away with about 150 new job lists that just came to the group. And also, in addition to that, people ask for company requests inside their contact. In other words, I see a position at Apple. I ask, does anybody have any connection to Apple? Someone would say, my brother works at Apple, or I work at Apple, or a friend of mine works at Apple. So they connect with each other. Resume gets exchanged, with push to the hiring manager, all besides going to online process that takes forever. So they have a much better chance of getting hired through that. The idea is that there's only 6 degrees of separation between you and anyone in the whole world. So if you can make connection through another connection, then pretty soon you get to the hands of hiring manager. All right. So with that, there's the way the meeting usually goes. We have about 20 minutes of networking. You just walk around and talk to people, exchange business cards, and help others what they want to do. The idea behind this networking is give and take. You don't ask for something. You don't ask for a job. You always offer something before you take away something. It's all about give and take, not take and give. It has worked very nicely. People like this networking part. We miss it. I miss it dearly because obviously it's a pandemic. Hopefully we'll get back to that very soon. All right, so let's see if what's the next one that I want to jump to. after the networking, we have about 50 minutes of workshops. The workshop is, we invite the speaker to come and give a talk. Some of those speakers right now are now in this group here. We have seen Stephen, Tony, and of course, one of the people who always helps us with the speakers, Anastasia, that you just heard from her as well. We have been very blessed to have a pool of great speakers, and also speakers introduce other speakers to us as well. They talk about different topics like use of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, personal branding, marketing, resume, interviews. If you want to start your own business, 401k, tax, healthcare subjects, motivational workshops, setting goals for success. You may know that person, Tony. He was our speaker not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and talked about the 9 steps you saw in the book that Craig just mentioned. So we have speakers who come in from all walks of life and talk about different subjects. And of course, after that, we have, it's all about networking, and that's what makes us different. We usually, when we have in-person meeting, we don't allow people just log in and join our meeting. They have to register on site. In other words, we want them to come to meeting, we shake hands, we say hello, and we want them to participate. The idea is to get people out of their home, come to some place that they can network with other people. Most of these people who have lost their jobs, we found out the toughest time of the day is during lunch hour, when they have to sit home and nobody's around. So we ask them to come have lunch with us. We all get together and we network. So there's 3 networking opportunities before the presentation, during the presentation, after the presentation. People have a chance to network. We always offer family style lunch, so they break the bread together. And of course, we find out the most efficient way to do this small networking if we have 7 people per each table. And the idea is that don't eat and run, eat and network, and people like that. It's interesting that most people are very shy. They don't want to participate. They don't want to talk to people in the very beginning. But after a couple of, after half an hour, 45 minutes, they all become good friends. By the time they finish lunch, they're buddies, and they can't wait to have a coffee with each other again after later on. As I mentioned, we want to network, no matter what we do. So I created a hiking networking group. So every Tuesday morning, from 7 to 8:30, we go to Rancho San Antonio here in Cupertino for a walk. It's a very easy hike, and the people network, and it's interesting to see how many people have landed jobs just through that hike. While you talk with people, when you are actually starting a hike, you have people's ear for the entire hike for about an hour and a half. So it doesn't get any better than that, because once you start the hike, you have to finish the hike. So they can't run away. Talk about captive audience. So we try to hike and network as well. In addition to this hike, of course, I realized that how much I like this. I started another hiking group, which works on Saturdays, different parts of Northern California. We have 14,000 members on that hiking group, and we go different places, much longer hike every Saturday as well. So the idea is that for people to have fun and network and network and network. I see I'm looking at the time, we're getting very close to my time. So the idea behind C6 is to see if you love what you do, you will never have to work a day in your life. That's the whole idea behind networking and trying to find a job for people who enjoy doing that. It's not a job, it's a career, it's something they feel comfortable and have fun with it. With that, I'm going to stop sharing. This is my information. This is CSIX CONNECT. Our website is c6.org. And of course, you can see my email, hamid@c6.org. With that, I'm going to stop share and see if I can answer any questions. My apologies for the technical issue in the very beginning. Any question I can answer. Thank you so much. Great.
All right, Hamid, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I was taking many notes, and my fountain pen ran out of ink. So I'm going to review this recording. That's actually one of the great benefits of the Golden Gate Breakfast Club is we can record what you have to say, and we can come back and fill in the gaps. That gives us an opportunity to really focus on what you're talking about. I was really keenly interested in so many aspects of what you mentioned, because we see a lot of that here, and then other groups I'm involved with, and I particularly like the breaking of the bread part, because you really breaks down barriers, and you really get to know people in that setting.
Right.
So that's
thank you.
awesome. Betty, I know Betty's got questions. Betty always has something, and then Susan Rowan.
And Anastasia had her hand up.
Oh, okay. So Betty, Susan, and then Anastasia.
Hamid, thank you for an excellent presentation. And I'm so impressed with your initial, if I heard you correctly, you met somebody on the street and said, hey, let's go have lunch. That is fabulous. And then look what has happened. And just one person, i.e. you, can make such a difference in people's lives. And I commend you for all of the good things you've done for other people. And you have given so much. And
thank you.
I'm just so impressed. I also love your backdrop with all the connections.
Connections, right? It's all connections.
I like to say connections. It's all about connecting with people. I guess my question is, do you have any, not that it makes a difference, even if one person is helped, but do you have a sense of how many people have been successful at getting jobs from this group? And even if it's just a friend, that's success.
Sure. Actually, that's a good question, because that comes up a lot. When we were much smaller group back in 2001, 2002, we used to track, because we're a small group of people, we all knew each other. So at that time, I remember that we were trying to keep tally, because the newspapers and other media would always ask that question. We had an average about 5 people per week that would land a job that they thought they got it, they found the lead or the connection to a CSIX organization. 5 a week, that was pretty good. That was very good. Now, I have to admit that we had a lot of people back in 2001, 2000, 2003 that were in the job market, and not too many companies were hiring. But 5 a week was very good. It became larger, the number became larger, more than 5, but we lost track because many people who landed a job, they just would leave and we would never hear back from them. And now, because most things online, we see some people today, but we don't see them next week. So back in all days was 5 a week that we thought. So if you do the numbers, even if we said 5 a week, that after 52 weeks a year and then times 20 years, that numbers add up very quickly. That how and each one of those people usually help another person, because they learn how how powerful it is to help people, and they become hiring manager. They don't even post their openings. They hire from this organization. They immediately send a message to me or to the group that, hey, I have 2 openings in my department. Do you know anybody? So many of these jobs don't even get posted. They come directly to us. And that's what another benefit is. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think I have seen Anastasia, and also there was another hand. I thought. Craig, you're mute, Craig.
Yeah, no, it was Anastasia and then Susan Rowan.
Hey, Hamid, of course, that was wonderful. It made me think this whole networking thing and the idea of just like the hiking that you're doing. The idea of the moment somebody puts something out there, you never know who might know someone, kind of a thing. But it also pertains to just full-on life in general. So I don't know if anybody here has ever read the book called Wishcraft. Wish, W-I-S-H, Craft, by Barbara Scher. Highly recommended. But the idea, the concept is that you get a bunch of people together, and maybe a person wants to open a dry cleaning business, and then they have to figure out all the steps that they need to do in order to make that happen. And by speaking it in the group, inevitably somebody knows someone, like they may even have a connection to the location where they might be able to rent it, or maybe they know someone in the real estate profession that might help them find the location. So it's more than just networking for job opportunities, but about kind of accomplishing any goals in life when we kind of pull on the resources of people that we come together with. So just wanted to toss that out there. But I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the creation of the name C6 and where that came from, because I don't think that was covered in the very beginning. So I would love to hear that.
Right. I know that's another story by itself. But again, when I first grabbed this gentleman, literally grabbed this gentleman at the street and said, do you want to have lunch? He was shocked, who am I? Who is this weirdo person asking me to go to lunch? And I said, listen, I have nothing to sell. I'm not selling anything. I'm not insurance or anything. Please, I just want to have lunch with someone. Would you like? And it was obviously, he was very hesitant. He didn't know what he's, why am I asking to lunch? The only thing was in front of us, the Chinese restaurant. So I kind of grabbed him and said, do you like Chinese food? And he said, okay. So I kind of dragged him to this restaurant, Chinese restaurant in Cupertino. And then, of course, when I told him, listen, there's nothing in the agenda. I just want to have lunch with you. And then I told him I'm out of job. He said, oh, I'm out of job too. He was an architect and I was in operation. So I said, come here next week. I'll buy your lunch and you bring a friend. And now we're going to help each other. Pretty soon, this became a big, like 8, 10, 12, 50, about 100 people. One of the guys said, listen, we should create a mailing list and a website. What do you want to call it? One of the guys said, call it Hamid Networking. I said, nah, that's tacky. So he said, no, give me a name. I need a name. The name of the restaurant was CSIX Chinese Restaurant. So just to get him off my back, I said, okay, just call it CSIX Chinese Restaurant Network. That was too long. So we took the C out of the cuisine and then C6, the name of the restaurant, network. And of course, we realized that a few months later, the C6 network was the name of a company that we invaded that name. So we changed it to CSIX Connect. So it's all those type of things happen all those days. Now, of course, the restaurant became very popular because they would call it the name of the restaurant was our. And then restaurant changed, became iRestaurant, or House of Szechuan. They wanted me to change the name of my organization to House of Szechuan Network. I said, of course, I'm not going to do that. So now at that time, we were a name. Yeah, that's how the name started. So thank you.
Thank you, Hamid. And that one last question is just this first man that you met. Do you still have any connection with him?
Very shy guy. So when we had our first year anniversary, in fact, the second time he did not even come to meeting, but another gentleman came, said that he sent him because he was shy. But when we had our first anniversary, a lady came and I said, who are you? She said she was the wife of that gentleman. She said that her husband was so shy, but he did find a job because he was in our mailing list. But she said that she came to attend our 1-year anniversary, but it was interesting. Yes. Thank you. We had another hand, someone else.
Yeah, well, Susan Rowan is up next, but I have to say it's a good thing you didn't use the House of Hashim Network because that's already copywritten. Okay, so they've got a copyright on that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Suzanne.
Susan.
Well, Hamid, I'm going to ask you a question that I advise everyone, whether networking or working room, never to ask is, do you remember me? Because I sure remember speaking
for
C6.
Of course.
And it was, they're a wonderful group of people. And the reason I said yes to this pro bono opportunity is I was one of the teachers laid off in the San Francisco Unified School District, a decimation of 1,200 teachers' jobs back in the day. So I knew what it was like to be unemployed without my permission. And I think they quite liked me because I shared what it was like standing in the unemployment line. Some of you may be too young to remember when that happened in San Francisco. But so much of what we don't realize happens organically. It happens serendipitously. And that was what led to my other book, which was going to be called You Never Know How to Turn Serendipity into Success, but they called it How to Create Your Own Luck. The BNI, which many of you have heard of, BNI started the same way. It's the old Breck commercial, and I told someone, and I told someone, and all of a sudden your screen is full of people with nice hair. If you're too young, you don't remember that. But I think what you've done is remarkable, and it has served so many people in so many ways. In the idea of doing social things, the hikes, the interactions, because out of that comes the conversation you would never have in a formal business setting where you add something and all of a sudden you find out something else. And I will end with this, and I don't know if you remember this. One of the tenets of savvy networking, which was actually my favorite book, The Secrets of Savvy Networking is not a business style. It's a lifestyle. And the people who live the life of connecting, sharing, being around people, interacting. They do it every day in every part of their life. The people that reserve it for business are generally the users who we don't want to be around. So I think you've done a gift to people in the Bay Area, and I think you have the opportunity, even if you want to take it or not, to actually expand the organization to different parts of the Bay Area. So with that, I will stop. I adored the group. Thank you for remembering me, but I think what might have tricked you is I had brown hair at the time.
But thank you so much. I do remember you perfectly fine, and it was great because that's why I was so impressed to see so many of our speakers here. I don't know how we're doing in the time-wise, Craig. I want to be respectful for everyone's time. But if I were to talk, I don't know how many days you have here, how many hours you have. I can give you stories after stories after stories of people who found jobs through just talk about serendipity. The guy who got lost in the hike and he ran into another person, happened to be one of our volunteers, and he was a hike volunteer also. And he ran, and the guy was from England, said, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. And he led him the way to come back to the parking lot. During the way they start talking, the guy from England happened to be starting a company here in Bay Area. And guess what he did? He hired the guy. He said, I'm not going to be coming to hike because I'm going to be busy. He was #1 employee for that guy, for that entrepreneurship. There was another lady who was on TV. Actually, the TV came to our organization and the news media. They were trying to record her. She was going up in the elevator. The cleaning lady happened to be in the elevator, and she was trying to still talk on the phone while she had signal that she was looking for a job and all that. Cleaning lady heard, said, hey, ma'am, the lady on the other side, I think she's looking for someone. I just heard her talking on the phone that they're looking. So they introduced the lady, the cleaning lady, by listening to the phone conversation on the elevator, connected this lady to another lady who got a job. It's amazing, different types of people, how they connect with each other. Networking. I can't emphasize enough. Sorry, Craig.
No, it's and by the way, it's 8:36. We have plenty of time, so
okay.
And thank you for sticking around and answering questions. I see Anastasia's hand is up, so we'll go over to her. Oh no, is that
That's
from before?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I already spoke. I didn't know I had to take that down. That's right. Hello. So sorry.
But you already have plenty. You always have plenty to say, so that wouldn't surprise me. And okay, so do we have any other questions? I know Antonio's got some questions.
Well, Hamid, I just thank you for a great presentation here. And I think that the phrase, something the saying is, tough times don't make people, they reveal people. And through your tough times here, you showed great leadership here and innovation and thoughtfulness. And so thank you for bringing joy into the world and helping other folks and being a real leader. So I just want to say I appreciate you and salute you. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the support. Great.
How many volunteers do you have running CSIX?
So that's interesting because, as you know, volunteers come because they are looking for a job, and as soon as they land job, they leave. Normally, right now it's very easy because I have like one volunteer who helps me to find speakers. I don't know how much longer she's going to be with me because once she finds a job, she will leave. But during the time that we do have in-person meetings, usually about 5 to 6 people. There are a couple of people, God bless their heart, who are like accountant, even though we don't have any money, we don't make any money, but we still, to maintain our 501c status, our nonprofit status, we have to file taxes and do form. The guy has moved out of the area, but he has been doing this thing for us for years as a volunteer. I don't know, God bless his heart. This is amazing. And then we have other volunteers who come in the morning, serve the breakfast part, the bagels, the coffee, the juices and all that, and then put the signs out, get the audio video working. These are all volunteers. And then when they leave, somebody else comes in. So normally we have about 5 to 6 volunteers who always help. The good thing is that they do all the work, I do the talk, I get the credit. So we call it 50-50. It's a teamwork, right? I'm the talker, they're the workers. So, but I've been extremely blessed. All of our speakers are pro bono, as you heard from that. They come, they donate their time and their expertise. We do an evaluation, as Suzanne mentioned, and Sasha knows about it. We provide the feedback to our speakers, and they like that, to let them know how wonderful they did. It's great. Yeah.
Now, do you have a regular job as well on top of this? Or?
Not now, but I did actually. It's interesting that when I first started, I had no job, and that's why I started. I thought I will have the C6 for maybe 3-4 weeks, and then I'll go back to my job. But this organization grew so fast that I failed to keep it in the like 8 or 10 people I wanted to keep it. Obviously, it grew very quickly, and then that became kind of part-time job. However, one person from that group hired me to work for him, and he got a job as a VP of operation for a company, and he was looking for a director of operation, and he hired me. I told him I have this job. He said, doesn't matter, you can have that. But the issue was that the job that he gave me, I had to work in Asia a lot. So I had a group of people in Asia, I had a group in India, and of course I had a group in Silicon Valley. I had to run all these 3 groups, and I would travel. I was in Shanghai in a hotel room at nighttime, which was daytime here. I was running my meeting here daytime while I was in Shanghai. So it was pretty challenging at the time, but it worked out great. Yeah. So now I'm retired, so I run this organization. I have a couple of other nonprofit organizations helping disadvantaged children and young people who came from disadvantaged families to get them to school and back to jobs. There's another family justice organization that I'm part of that, and their board of directors help them. And of course, I have my hiking groups. So yeah, it keeps me busy.
You got a great life. And
yeah.
And you're down in Saratoga, right?
I am in South Bay, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, that's great.
All right. What other questions do we have?
How do you reach you, Hamid?
I'm sorry?
How do people get in touch with you?
So the best thing to do is through my email, and I'm just going to put that in the chat again. And so it would be hamid@c6.org. Okay, I just put that. That's my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And of course, if you need to look at information about our group, it's www.c6.org. It's our website. If you just do CSIX CONNECT, you'll find out about this organization. Again, I encourage you, if you have time, to join one of our sessions on a Thursday. Some of the speakers that you see here have been talking to our organization. They're all great speakers. I've been very lucky, blessed to have these type of speakers to come to our organization. You may enjoy it. In fact, I'm now interested in your presentation next week. I think John is going to be talking about the environmental.
Yeah, John Mathers will be speaking.
Right. Can't wait to hear that. Yes. Tony.
Well,
yes.
I think that's a great place for us to end the recording. So Hamid, again, let's give Hamid a Golden Gate Breakfast Club gratitude.
Thank you.
Clap. And Hamid, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
We will keep the room